So this year I planted 2 cherry tomato plants accidentally. That's a lot of cherry tomatoes. So I've been finding different ways to use them, and this is a cherry tomato galette, and I've made it twice because I really liked it. So here we are. My name is Chandra, and I just went out and re-upped on my cherry tomatoes. I used up the ones that were inside and picked all of these, which I can pretty much do every other day. So I've made a couple of these galettes. I made some salsa that ended up being super spicy, so we are using it, but it's gonna last a long time. I should probably freeze some of it. I did like a roasted cherry tomato salsa. I used one of our jalapenos for that, which they're quite spicy, it turns out. And I used the seeds and everything. So now I'm adding some garlic to these cherry tomatoes that I have on my sheet pan here. And I'm not going to peel this garlic all the way. I'm just going to crush it, and then it will roast with the tomatoes, and with the skins on like that, it won't burn. It'll just become nice, soft, roasted garlic. Delicious. And that will go on the bottom of our crust. It has been so incredibly dry in Vermont this summer. We haven't had rain in a very long time, but it does make for a really nice tomato season because the tomato flavor is very concentrated. It's not watered down at all, and I'm also a poor waterer, so that helps too. My garden is raised beds, and I do have it covered, the soil covered, so it's done pretty well. I haven't had to do a whole lot of watering to keep things going, and it has made for some really nice tomatoes. So I put some olive oil on those tomatoes and garlic, and now I have some rosemary I'm going to chop up, as well as some thyme, both fresh from the garden. I get one of these rosemary plants from my mother-in-law every year, and she has many that she propagates and keeps over the winter, and I am sure to tell her, when you give me one of these, it's going to die over the winter. I don't manage to keep these alive inside at all. But I will, at the end of the season, just harvest the whole thing and dry the rosemary, and then I'll have dried rosemary from that plant for the duration of the winter. This recipe, which I will put below in case you want to make it, is an Erin Jean McDowell recipe. And I don't know if you've seen her online, but she is amazing with pie. So check her out if you like making pie. These are good and roasted, and I'm gonna let those completely cool. And I actually ended up doing this a couple days later, which was totally fine. They're nice and cool now. They've been in the refrigerator, and I have my dough pulled out of the freezer and ready to roll out. So I'm just gonna open up these garlic cloves now, take the skin off, and mash those so that after I roll out my galette crust, I can spread the garlic down underneath where I put the tomatoes. I am making this crust gluten-free, so I'm going to roll it between 2 sheets of parchment because it's just a little bit more crumbly and tender than a wheat-containing crust would be. So either would work here. This is a recipe from the Loopy Whisk, which I can also put below if you're making things gluten-free. Mine is also dairy-free. I use like a vegan butter block in place of butter. Sometimes I use lard. I may have used a little bit of each in this. I don't remember because I made this a little while ago and stuck it in the freezer for times like this. So I'm just kind of getting this a little bit flattened out because it does just easily break apart without gluten in it, and that's fine. I can work with it pretty well. I've got my smoother here. I do the rolling, she does the smoothing. We take turns. In order for this not to be too soggy, I'm using a slotted spoon and letting a lot of those juices drain out. The first time I did this, I did the tomatoes on a bigger sheet pan, and I think that was a better idea because as they roast, a lot of that liquid evaporates. So it concentrates the flavors, and also you end up with less liquid in the end that you just really don't want in your pie, or galette. So that's what I'm doing here, and that worked out just fine. There's plenty of flavor, but I would do it on a bigger pan. I'm taking advantage of my parchment paper here to help me fold this dough over the edges of the tomatoes because gluten-free crust can be a little more crumbly, even with xanthan gum, which this does have. So I'm getting this all folded over, and then I will use an egg wash. You can, of course, use a whole egg. I have egg whites in my refrigerator often. If I ever need egg yolks, I save the whites. Sometimes I'll freeze them, but they last a long time in the refrigerator, and I use them for things like this, for brushing doughs. It does that. The egg white makes a nice shiny crust. Remember to always bake your pies or galettes on a rimmed baking sheet. The first time I forgot that, I just always forget that, it seems like, and I did it on a flat cookie sheet, and the juices just ran right out the side into the bottom of my oven. Thank you for watching. If it's summer where you are or the end of summer, I hope you are drowning in tomatoes. See you next time.